So we're up to Daf Lamed, and this daf has three Mishnayos. Let's start with the top. Shlosha Achim, Shnai Mehem Nesuim L'Shtei Achios. We have three brothers, two of whom are married to two sisters. V'echad Nasi L'Nochris, and the third brother is married to a third woman who's not related to the two sisters. Meis Echad Mi Bale Achios, one of the two brothers that are married to two sisters, dies, and his wife cannot fall for Yibum to that brother who's married to his wife's sister, because that's an erev of Achos Ishto. Chanas Nasui L'Nochris Es Ishto. So the third brother, who is married to a woman who's not related to the two sisters, he will be miyavim, the wife of one of the two brothers. Let's call him Reuven died, who was married to Rachel, and now Levi, the third brother, will be miyavim Rachel, because she's not the sister of his wife. It's only Levi who's married to Rachel. I'm sorry, it's only Shimon I meant to say who's married to Rachel. So Levi could be Miyabim, Ashes, Ruvain, Rachel. And now Mace. Now even Levi, who married and was Miyabim Rachel, he died without children. And now he's got two wives that fall for Yibum to Shimon. One of them is Rachel, who's the sister of Shimon's wife, Leah. The other is another woman. We'll give her any name we want. So Harishona, that's Rachel, that's the wife of Reuven. Yotza Mishum Achos Isha. She doesn't need neither Yibum, which is impossible, she's Achos Ishto, nor does she require chalitza. That's called Yotza Mishum Achos Isha. Shniya. Right now we have Levi's other wife, who's a Nachris, and she now falls for Yibum to Shimon. We'll call her Sarah, just to give her a name. So Sarah falls for Yibum to Shimon. Then Mishum Tzaras, she likewise does not need, cannot have Yibum, but doesn't even need Chalitza. And the reason for that is because of Tzaras Erev, meaning that as far as Shimon is concerned, when Leah falls for Yibum, together with Sarah, Sarah is a Tzara to Leah, who is Achos Ishta. I'm sorry, did I say Leah? I meant to say Rachel, right? So she's a Tzara to Rachel, and that gives the status of Achos Ishta, Tzaras Achos Ishta. So far the Mishnah is pretty smooth, but now it gets a little bit more bumpy. And what happens now? Asaba Maimah, who makes. Okay. So what happened in this case? Remember, we said that the case was that Levi was Miyabim Rachel, and then later Levi dies. But Levi initially was Miyabim Rachel because he's married to Sarah, who's not related to Rachel. Now the Mishnah is offering an alternative scenario. Instead of Levi being Miyabim Rachel, he gave Maimar to Rachel. Umes, and then Levi died. So in this case, like in the previous case, Levi died. But in the first case, Levi was Miyabim Rachel, and that's what created the erva of Achos Ishto after Levi's death. And his other wife, Sarah, was a Tzaras erva. But now we have a different scenario. Because here we're talking about a case where instead of Levi being Miyabim Rachel, Reuven, he went ahead and he did Maimah to Rachel Reuven, and then he died. So the Mishnah says the following. Rachel, Balas HaMaimar, right? So Rachel, who was initially the wife of Reuven, now through Maimar, she was the Balas Maimar to Levi. Yotzeis li nase b'shuk below chalitza. Bishum she'achosa shel Leah eish es Shimon. V'asur li nase lo mishum erev. So the status now of Rachel is that she goes free without chalitza because of the erev of achos ishto, meaning when she falls for Yibam to Shimon, and Shimon is married to her sister Leah, she's an erva. There's no nefila for Yibum, and hence she can marry anyone even without chalitza. But the nachris, now we get to Sarah, Levi's other wife. It's not related to neither Rachel or Leah. When Levi dies, Sarah falls for Yibum in front of Shimon, together with Rachel. Okay, now Rachel, we said, is not even Yevamot l'shuk because of the erev of Esha of Achos Ishta. And therefore, Sarah should be a Tzaras Erev, right? Because now, with Levi's death, both his wife Sarah and Rachel Eshes Reuben fall for Yibum. But again, in the case of Rachel, the marriage relationship was only one of Maimar. Choletzes v'lo misyabenes. What does that mean? On a Doraisa level, Maimar is not Kohen. And if Maimar is not Kohen, then Sarah is not a Tzaras Erev on a Doraisa's level. There's no way that we can allow her to get married without Chalisa. On the other hand, we cannot allow Yibum because for Rabbanan, she's a Tzaras Erev. Why? Because the Rabbanan recognized Maimar, and the Maimar to Rachel makes the Tzara Sarah into a Tzaras Erev because Rachel is an Erev. She's a Achos Ishta. So the Gemara says the following: Taima, right? The Mishnah mentions Chalitza in the case where Levi, who's married to Sarah, had done Maimar to Rachel. And that's why Sarah requires Chalitza. Taima the Ovid Bei Maimar. Since Levi did a Maimar to Rachel. Ha lo Aviba Maimar. If Levi had not done a Maimar to Rachel, now Sarah is no longer Tzaras Erev. Is there for Nachris Yivumin Ami Yavne? Very nice. Sarah now could fall for Yibum to Shimon, and Shimon could be Miyavim. She's not a Tzaras Erev. So Omer Rav Nachman Zoso Meres She'ein Zika Afilu B'chad Achad. The only way of justifying this psak in the Mishnah is if we assume that Ein Zika. Why? If we would say Yesh Zika, then forget about Maimon. There would be a Zika between Rachel and Shimon, and that Zika itself should be enough to set up Sarah as a Tzaras Erev. He says, Ein ze dafka b'ofen sheyesh kama achim. Right, so we said yesh zika. I'm sorry, we're saying ain't zika here in this case. You might have said, well, you know when it's ain't zika, there are many achim, so she can't be married to two men. So there's no zika here to two achim. But if there's only one ach, then we could all agree get your unanimous opinion that yesh zika. No. Right? In our case, both Reuven and Levi had died. We're only left with one brother named Shimon. He's the sole Yavam here. And therefore, the Zika is a very powerful Zika. I mean, the Zika is to this Yavam, and it's not being split and shared by other brothers. And nevertheless, she's not considered Ishto. So therefore, Rachel is not going to be considered Skuka, right? I mean, if Yesh Zika, she'd be Skuka to Levi, and only to Levi. There's only one brother. He says the following. Afil b'characha gam kishayevom skuka liyavam echad bilvad v'ein od yavam sharashoy liyavim oso levadho ein hi nechsheves ishta sharei Rachel ein skuka elo levi. Or he changes the names a little bit. We had Shimon. He has Levi. Barak hu rashoy liyavim. The only candidate for Yibum is Shimon, or he calls it Levi, or it doesn't matter. The Aval Pikein lo nechsheves ishto lesser as Sarah mishum tsaras Rachel. Okay, fine. I just want to see. He has here a diagram. I'm going to just, if you don't mind, give it a little bit of a look over here. Reish Tzadik Daled. So he's got Shimon and Levi. Reuven dies, and his wife Rachel falls for Yibum for Levi. She can't fall for even to Shimon because Shimon's married to Leah, Rachel's sister. I'll read the interpretation of the diagram. He writes, Harei Rachel shenofla harishona liyibum shemes Reuven yotza v'nifteres michalitza v'yibum mishum sheyachos ishto shel Shimon. V'sara shenofla shniya liyibum shemes Levi nifteres gam ke michalitza mishum sheyitzaras Rachel. Fine, okay. Now we get to Osaba Maimon. That's called Reish Tzadik Hey here. And he says, Harei Rachel p'tura michalitza v'yid mishum achos isha. And Sarah choletzes kevich min Torah eina Saras erva. Shari Rachel Tzarasa Einin Nechsheves Ishto Shel Levi Min HaTorah. Okay, I don't think that added me. Next, second Mishnah on Daf Lam. Shlosha Achim Shnayim Mehem Nisu L'Shtei Achios V'Echad Nasui L'Nachris. All right, so far it's identical. Meis Hanasui Nachris. So now we're saying that Levi died. He's married to Sarah. And now his wife falls for Yibum to both Reuven and Shimon. B'konas echad mibali achios es ishto. So in this case, it wasn't Levi who was miyabem Eshes Reuven, but rather it was Reuven who was miyabem Eshes Levi. Right, because Eshes Levi is not related neither to Reuven's wife Rachel nor to Shimon's wife Leah. She's a nachos. umes. So now Levi, just one second. Again, Levi's wife was Sarah, and now Levi's wife is Sarah, and who is Miyabim Sarah? We want to say Reuven. Let's say, just 1 second, just to follow his names over here. Reuven. Okay, good. So he says Reuven was Miyabim Sarah. Now Reuven dies. Now Reuven was married to both Rachel and now Sarah as well, Ashes Levi. So Rachel and Sarah now fall for Yibam to Shimon. Now obviously Rachel is Achos Ishto, so she's an Erev because Shimon is married to Leah. Sarah, on the other hand, is a Nachos. So it says here Harishona, which is a reference to Rachel, Yotzeis. Just 1 second. Again, Reuven died. So what does it mean, Harishona Yotzeis? In Harishona. Oh, right. Reuven died, and he left his wife Rachel to fall for Yibam. Correct? But she's Yotzeis. Why? Because Shimon is married to Leah. Therefore, Rachel, Ashes Reuven is now is Achos Ishto. Sarah also doesn't need Yibam or Chalitza because Mishum Tzarasa. Okay, so what does this Mishnah add? Okay, I guess we have to wait till the Sefer. All right, so now we go back to Sarah, meaning Levi dies, and it wasn't Reuven who was Miyabim Sarah, Ashes Levi, but rather also B'Maimar Umes. So Reuven does a Maimar to Sarah, and then Reuven dies. So now Reuven is married to both Sarah and Rachel. He is married to Rachel. I'm sorry, yeah, right. He's married to Rachel with a full-fledged Ishus. He's married to Sarah with Maimar. So now, Sarah, so the question now is Sarah considered a Tzaras Erva when Reuven dies? So the answer is that's only the Rabbanan. Correct? Because Maimar is only the Rabbanan. So the Maimar of Reuven with Sarah is only the Rabbanan. And therefore Rachel's status always remains Ashes Amin Achos Ishto. But Sarah now has the status of a Tzaras Erva Midrabanan. Right? But when I say Midrabanan, what I mean is because just 1 second. Because Reuven did a Maimar to Sarah. So again, Sarah and Rachel fall for Yibam to Shimon. Clearly, Rachel is an Erev. Now, what's the status of Sarah, who falls for Yibum to Shimon? So Reuven had done a maimar to Sarah, right? H's later. Now, when Reuven dies, does Sarah have a status of Itzaras Erev? In L'chora, on a Drabbana level, she has a status of Itzaras Erev. Are you with me, Rabbosai? Why is Sarah Itzaras Erev? Because once Reuven does a maimar to Sarah, then she and Rachel both fall for Yibum. Again, on a Doraisa level, there should be no problem, because Rachel doesn't fall for Yibum at all. She's Achos Ishta, and only Sarah will fall for Yibum. Again, Rachel doesn't need Chalitz at all. She's Achos Leah Ishto Shel Shimon. That's an error. Now, what about Sarah the Nachris? She needs Chalitza. Why does she need Chalitza? Because Sarah's original husband was Levi. And Reuven did a maimar to Sarah. So once, just 1 second. So once Reuven does a maimar to Sarah, and now what? Now Reuven dies. So now we need Chalitza. Why do we need Chalitza? Because since Sarah was originally married to Levi, so then with Levi's death, there's a Zika of Yibum to Shimon, right? Because Shimon is a brother of Levi. And that's a Doraisa Zika. Now, what about a Zika from Reuven? Reuven did a maimar. So since Reuven did a maimar to Sarah, therefore what? Just 1 second. Therefore, she becomes the Tsaras Erva Mirabana. I guess through what? Through Rachel? Let me just think. Is that because of Rachel? And I'm trying to figure out Lomas Yabemis. He writes here in the Masechet Lomas Yabemis, Bichuchi Tsaras Erva. Machmas Hamaimer Durabonon Sheniknisa Bo Leruven. So again, in the Reisha, quite clear that Shimon could be Miyabim, Sarah, Eshes, Reuven. Well, Sarah actually is originally Eshes, Levi. So it seems like Mimon of Shach, Shimon could be Miyabim. Again, without Maimer. Let's leave out Maimer for a moment. If we leave out Maimer, then Mimon of Shach, Shimon should be able to be Miyabim Sarah, either because of Levi dying without children or because of Reuven. Okay, if there was no Maimer, she's not married to her. But now that Reuven does a Maimer to Sarah, so what happens now? So now choletzes. Sarah is choletzes. Again, when we say Sarah's choletzes, you can say, and you ask yourself, what's the zika that generates a chalitza here? It could be one of two things. It could be the zika to Levi, or it could be the zika to Reuben as a result of Maimer. I mean, either way. On a Doraisa level, for sure, I would say it's the zika of Levi, because of Levi. Now, why is there no possibility of Shimon being Miyabim Sarah? And that's the difference between the Sefer and the Reisha. Lomis Yabems. And the answer is that she's a Tsaras Erva. Why is she Erva? Because since what? Since Reuven did a Maimar to Sarah. Therefore, when Reuven dies, so both Rachel, his wife, and Sarah, who had Maimar, fall for you to Shimon. Therefore, Sarah is a Tsaras Erva. But again, I don't understand why does Rachel fall for Yibum to Shimon? Let's see the Gemara. Maybe the Gemara will explain it. Because I'm still missing one piece of the puzzle here. The Gemara says, Hasu lamali, hainu hach. What is this Mishnah adding to the previous Mishnah? Hashta uma hasam. In the previous Mishnah, the achos isha. Havya. And therefore, midrabanan, she becomes its Sarah. Through the Maimer Linachris, is Amrit Nachris Asura, is Hacha de Nachris Havit Sarah Lachos Isha Lo Kolchke. So that there's a Tzara de Rabbanan through Maimer. That's what we were trying to figure out in the Mishnah. This last Mishnah, the second Mishnah. She's a Tzara Mirabanan to Achos Isha. Is Lokolshke. Certainly, Sarah becomes a Tsaras Erva. They also Sarah Hanochris Rachel Achos Leah. She Erva Mishum Shenasta Sarasa B'Maim. There's a footnote number Vav here in the Masechet. Kevan Sha'asa Sheni, I think is a reference to Reuven here. Ben Nachris, the Maimer Ben Nachris. Umes below Bonim, Hutzrucha Hanochris Yibum Mitzad Zika Zu. It's really interesting. I mean, Rachel is Achos Ishto of Shimon's wife Leah, but yet because Reuven did a Maimar to Sarah, and that Maimar sets up a Zika. The heat fela lezikas achos eishes hayavam. I don't know what he means here. Tefela. I mean, tefela means אף שהיא גם זקוקה לייבום מחמס בילה הראשון, מסולה מן התורה, וזיקה זו מצריכה ייבום גמור, לא שהכוס אשס היום תעקי בו, סובר הגמורה שהייבום שצריכה מחמס מיימר השני, אינו נחשב tougher. No, I don't have it. I don't have it. We have two choices here, Rabbi. So I'm at a crossroads. Either we end the shit now, and I'm going to have to go through this again and again and again till I get it down straight. Or I could try to do it together with you and try to rack our brains here. We have to go through a lot of these diagrams, I think. I think, Rabosa, with your permission, we'll stop here. It's 15 minutes early, but it'll give me a little bit more time between now and tomorrow, or maybe, if not by tomorrow, hopefully sometime in the future to figure this all out. All right, then? Okay. So I wish you a great day.
Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh Tov.